In today's video, I'm going to share 3 tips if you are someone who is interested in making a career shift, you are thinking about it, and even if you've actually already started on that process. Before I jump into the content of this video, I want to share that I do have an email subscription list. If you are wanting more content, more tips, more things to think about as you make a career shift, more ideas, more processes, I'm going to put the link down below to my website, which is where you can sign up for my email subscription list. So without further ado, tip number 1. Now first I want to explain the context behind the tip. When people are making a career change or thinking of making a career change, for most people they can't just quit their current job, their current profession, whatever they are doing, and start something new or think about it or take the time to be able to actually do all the steps that are needed to actually create and implement a career change. Usually it's running alongside their current career. What stops some people from actually starting to create that career change for themselves is what they're doing is requiring so much of their time and energy that they don't feel like they have any additional time and energy to give to something else. So the first tip I want to offer is really about looking at the relationship with your current career. And what I mean by that is, if you've been in a role for a long time, if you've been an expert, if you've been a go-to person, if you've been somebody who is really conscientious, you've put a lot of yourself in, you've got integrity, and you really want to do a good job, it is more than likely that you've been giving a lot to your current career. But to be able to have that extra energy and time to actually give to yourself to start creating a new career, it's going to have to require you to look at how much time you're giving elsewhere. And often that means pulling yourself a little bit back from your current situation. That can be time-wise, it could be energy-wise, it could just be putting up more boundaries around this. And this can be kind of a sneaky thing because often our identity gets really wrapped in our careers. It's who we are. And so to think of kind of taking a little bit of an energetic or just a bit of a step back from it can feel really scary. Our egos can crop up and go, oh no, like don't do that, right? Like I want to be the expert. I want to be the go-to person. I want to be the one everyone looks to and counts on all the time. And it's great to want to be those things, but is it coming at a cost? And is it also really necessary? Like, are you going above and beyond in your current position? Because if you are, it's really gonna hold you back. It's really gonna hold you back because you're just not gonna have the ability to make that shift. And here's the other part of this. If you're wanting to make a career change, that is, part of the process is actually saying goodbye to what you were doing before, maybe the person you were, how you were showing up. It really is about closing a door. And we want to start closing that door really gradually. Just, like I said, put up a few boundaries, start pulling yourself back. Don't be that expert. You don't have to be, the first one putting up your hand. And maybe that's not you. Maybe it is. I don't know. But just understanding that part of this process is not just moving to the new, but it's starting to let go of the old. So just get really clear about why you're still there. For many of you, at some point, it just comes down to money. And that's okay on a temporary basis. I mean, we don't ever want to just be doing something for the money always. That's unfulfilling. Unfortunately, that's a lot of how our society has been running. But if that's what you have to do for the time being, do your job, show up. Obviously, you want to still do a good job. But if it becomes really, truly more about the money and you start withdrawing your energy and start doing that for yourself to create something new, that's something you have to do. You can't continue at that same pace and expect to be able to make a change. So the second tip I want to offer today is really to be mindful about who you tell. And I've mentioned this in further videos, but it's worth mentioning again. It keeps coming up, to be honest with you. And so I know this is something that people struggle with. People will project all their fears and insecurities onto you. So if they don't have the courage to make a career shift, if they have a lot of scarcity and fear mindset, they are likely not going to be supportive of you, and it may have nothing to do with you, and they may be well-intentioned, right? It's not about them being bad people or you being secretive, but the truth of the matter is that's what people do. We project our crap all over everybody else. It's just what we do until we become mindful of what we're doing. But I think to a certain degree, it's something that always happens. It's part of the human experience. It's nice to have support, 100%. But be very conscious and intentional about where you go for support. Do you have a friend who's also made a career shift, right? I mean, those can be some great places to look, or, even look online for people who have done it. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can get support. Often we do this because we want support, so we tell people. The other problem with this is beyond people projecting things onto you is sometimes it's nice just to have something to yourself for a while, just to have the experience. We're kind of taught to look outward, to ask opinions, to do all kinds of research. I mean, we're really not taught to look within. And if you keep it a little bit closer to yourself, you're really going to give yourself that space and that ability to really know what you really want, because there's a lot of noise out here, right? There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of opinions. And again, these could be very well-intentioned people. But this is your journey, and you're gonna have to live it. Whatever decision you make, however you choose to move forward, this is something you are gonna have to live. So the more you turn more inward, at some point we need to turn outward, but that's after the process of turning inward. The more you'll actually align with what it is that's going to make you have that sense of meaning and fulfillment, because it's not out there. The answers aren't out there. They're actually in here. Another quick thing I want to mention is sometimes when we tell people what we're doing, they'll always want an update. Like they'll want, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going, right? And again, well-intentioned. But that can also be stressful. Like what if you're having a bad day? And then you're sharing that with them. And then what you're doing by sharing it with them is you're actually bringing it to life more, because the more we talk about our problems or our struggles, the more they magnify in truth. Unless you're talking to somebody who can really help solve that problem, right? Different. But if you're just sharing your struggles without sort of getting to a solution or speaking them to somebody who can help you with that solution, it can really actually magnify our problem. So there's just a number of reasons why you might want to keep them this situation and the process that you're going through just a little bit closer to yourself, and just really being mindful about why you might be telling somebody. The third tip I have is be really conscious and intentional about the inputs you have in your life. So meaning the TV you're watching, the news you're watching, the social media you're watching or listening to, all of those things are affecting your mindset. And so much of this process is about mindset. Many years ago, many years ago, I heard something that really stuck with me, and for the life of me, I can't remember who said it to me. I wish I could. But they said, there's a lot of negativity out in this world. And we all know that. There's a lot of, fear consciousness, victim consciousness. There's a lot of fear being pumped out, right? A lot of negativity. So when you consider how much negativity there is out there, you need to counteract all of that with positivity and constructive, problem solving and empowering messages and all kinds of, mindset shifts are going to actually help you move forward. You can't just do a little bit of the positive stuff and then, the rest of your day be listening to news and reading all this, doomsday and gloomsday scenarios. It's not going to work. You're going to stay more in that negative mindset. So just be really, really careful about what and who you listen to. And it's also about really listening to, is this person really in alignment with me? They could also have positive messages, but maybe they're not in alignment. I was actually discussing this with a client yesterday. He's an ambitious person. He's a go-getter. He gets stuff done. but he was starting to feel overwhelmed. And we talked about what he was listening to, and he was taking, sorry, total tongue twister there. He was listening to a lot of really motivational speakers. And I said to him, like, your issue really isn't motivation. There's something else going on here. And he was feeling worse about himself because he was watching motivational videos and not feeling really great about himself. So it's not always just, is it a positive message, but is it actually a message that you need? Because there's even like a lot of really great stuff out there, but just sometimes too much input. Like maybe it is that quiet reflection, 10 minutes by yourself thinking, what do I really need right now? Instead of flipping on a podcast or flipping on a YouTube video or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's just too much information, even though it is positive. Maybe you need to give yourself some positive messages. So it's just really about really being mindful, being conscious, being intentional about what you're putting in, why you're putting in, and how often you're putting in, and balancing that out. If you've got a lot of negativity, make sure you balance that out. If you've got a toxic work environment, it's going to take more work, right? You're going to need more positive stuff to counteract that current situation you're in. So take care of your mind. It's really, really important in this process. So those are the 3 tips I have for you today. If you found them value, please like, subscribe, and share this with somebody if you think they might, receive some value from it. And again, I'm going to put the link down below for my website, which will connect you to my email newsletter. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.